6.5 inches down or 6 inches down from the top of the paper. We have our distance line that's at 14, creating our station point. And then our 2 vanishing points, we place this triangle at 90 degrees. I'm sorry, we place this triangle we place a 90-degree angle right here at the station point to figure out where our vanishing points are going to be. Some people are different. Some people have it slightly tilted to the right. Some people have it tilted to the left. And then figure out where your vanishing points are going to be, document it. Rotate this point here at 45 degrees here at the station point to figure out where the diagonal vanishing point is. Okay, now, we already figured out that our cone of vision is 16 inches. So we take the radius, which is half of that, and figure out where the bottom of the cone of vision is so we can place our measuring line above that point. Okay, and so we stayed at 6.5 to 7 inches. So we mark this as 0, so we can create units going across. Now, our units that we're going to create. So with this, obviously this is 0. So we're going to create 1-inch units. Now, the easy way to do this is place one of the inch units, doesn't matter which one, get your ruler out and place one of the inch units right at 0. Okay, so this is 0 right here. And with this, you obviously know where your inches are. So just place 1-inch units all the way across, to the right and to the left. Don't do this, don't start over here and work all the way across unless you're perfectly centered on an inch unit. Because you want them to be even. Now we're not making a grid, but we do have to do this so we can learn how to make vertical and horizontal squares, and when we finally put them together, we get cubes. Let's figure out where our measuring points are. We need to measure the distance of these 2 reference lines, this one and this one. See, this reference line corresponds to this left measuring line. This line here corresponds to the right measuring line. So let me show you guys how this works. We're going to measure this distance. Where's my big ruler? So you guys will see that my distance from my left vanishing point to the station point is 20.5 inches. Based on where your vanishing point is, yours might be different, okay? And it's fine if it's different. It's okay to be different. So put your ruler, put the beginning of your units, your measured units, right there on your left vanishing point and measure what this line is. Now mine is 28.5 inches. I know some of yours is going to be different, and that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this information, I'm going to pivot my ruler up here, and I'm going to mark 20.5 inches because this is where my left measuring point is. That is my left measuring point. Now I know you're asking yourself, why is the left measuring point on the right side? And you will see. You will see. Okay, so whatever your measurement is, does anybody have anything that's less than 20.5? What do you got? 18.25? What do you got, Carter? 13? Really? 13? Okay. Make sure your ruler is right, the beginning of your ruler is right there on the vanishing point. Okay. You have to make sure it's right there on the vanishing point at the horizon line. And whatever this measurement is, that's the length of your reference line. Okay, so put this right here on your vanishing point and get this distance. Now, you're going to bring this distance all the way up. You're going to pivot your ruler up like this. I can get my ruler up here. Keep it on the vanishing point and put that mark here and write LMP for left measuring point. And you're going to do the same thing on the right side. I mean, you could do it upside down if you want to. I'm going to bring this down, or I'm going to bring this up a little bit higher. There we go. So this one, my distance here is 19 1/4. Now, you don't have to know if it's a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch or whatever. Make a mark on your ruler and then pivot that measurement all the way up on your horizon line. And this is your right measuring point. To figure out where your right measuring point and your left measuring point are, there's no other way to do this. There's only one solution. You take this measure, you take whatever your measurement is for your reference line, you're going to bring that all the way up to here. So you're going to bring this measurement all the way up to the horizon line. That becomes your left measuring point for the left reference line. This reference line, you're going to pivot that measurement all the way up here, or pivot your ruler to figure out where your right measuring point is. Yes, they are on opposite sides. And when we actually start doing the... All right, so now I have two lines converging to the left and right vanishing point. From 0, this is our ground plane. These are ground lines. Actually, technically, we haven't created our ground plane yet, but these ground lines designate where our ground plane is going to be. All right, now I will tell you immediately right now that you don't need, there are two ways to create squares in two-point perspective. One of them, use your diagonal vanishing point. You guys have seen how to do that. The other way is use a measuring line. And so we're going to do a little bit of both. So once you have this line converging to the right and left vanishing point, again, this is where our ground plane is essentially going to be. This is how we use our measuring line. So if this is the right measuring line, all of these units will be drawn or aligned to the right measuring point. Like this. Now, you could draw it all the way through, but I'm sure you don't want to do all this erasing. So we're only going to draw it all the way up to the ground line, like this. And you'll see immediately that these units diminish, the distance between them, not diminishes, but the distance gets foreshortened the further out you go. Or let's say the closer these units get to the horizon line, or let's say the vanishing point, you see that the length between them gets foreshortened. Anytime we mention foreshortening, it's the depth of an object or the depth of a line. Anytime we mention diminution, it's in reference to the height of an object becomes smaller the further back in the distance it travels, let's say to the horizon line. right now we have foreshortening of 1-inch units. The closer it gets, these units get to the horizon line on the ground plane, the shorter the distance is. Or we can also say the closer these units, these 1-inch units, get to the horizon line, or let's say the eye level, the smaller they become. Okay, and so that's it. These travel all the way to the right and left measuring points. They all converge. Now do not make the mistake of drawing these lines to the vanishing point. Some people do, and it screws up everything. And to be quite honest with you, I've done that in the demonstration. It ruined the whole class. The whole class was totally messed up. So all of these units, as long as they're measured correctly, you line them up to the right measuring point. This is not a vanishing point. All this allows us to do is to create a foreshortening of these units in 2-point perspective. That's all this does.